Labor Day weekend is the finish line for a lot of boaters. And it's usually the time that we say, well, it looks good. I'll leave all the maintenance for later. But later can cost a lot of money. I'm Ian Sneed.
I'm James Anderson.
And you're watching the Southern Boating and Yachting Podcast. Now, we're going to run through an end of summer checklist, maintenance checklist, that all boaters, whether you're in the Midwest, whether you're in the Northeast, or you're still going to be running your boat, because let's face it, in the South, we still can, need to do at the end of summer. Because after a full summer of running your vessel, you got to do some maintenance checkups. So with that, let's get into it. There's two different end of summers.
There really is. End of summer up north, the Midwest, where you actually have a real winter. Those people are actually going to be putting their boat into storage. There's a lot of preparations that goes into that. But then also we have the end of summer in the South. There's still some maintenance that we do and get it ready for our winter months to where we might use it a little less frequently, or we're going to be going cruising over to somewhere else.
So it's the same checklist for both, but there's a slightly different reason for each. One has been going through it and is going to continue to go through it. And the other one, if you leave it, stored away, if it's neglected, a neglected boat actually costs more money down the line than a boat that's being used regularly. And that's why the checklist is so important. And that's why if you do this properly, even though it's in storage, it's not being neglected. And that's the important piece. So the first thing we want to talk about is when we're looking at the boat below the waterline.
Number one, when you're going to pull the boat out of the water, know where you need to put the lift straps for the lift. Some boats are marked, or when you have your survey will tell you where you should place those straps.
Right, and you should have reference notes for that or photos.
Photos are the best one.
Next, you want to make sure that you're pressure washing the vessel. And you then, after you pressure wash it, you want to walk the hull. You want to make sure that there's no growth, that there's no barnacles, and whatever is there, you want to remove that as soon as possible.
And then see, is there any repairs that we need to do on the hull? Or do we need to repaint the hull? Mm-hmm. What steps we might need to do to get it into ready for next season, ready to be stored?
And later on, we talk about different coatings and things that you can apply when it comes to that. But this is really the checkpoint. What comes next?
So the next thing is going to be the anodes, zinc anodes or zincs, whatever we like to call them.
And even though they come in different materials, they're still called zincs. Yeah. Just the name stuck.
Know where they're at on your boat. Know all of the positions because you're going to have multiples. Sometimes even though they may look like they don't need to be replaced, they do. So know what they originally looked like when you put them on, have a reference point to be able to replace them.
A note that I want to point out is the halo. Light discoloration at the bottom paint around bronze fittings. So I want to read this note specifically because it's very important. That is a stray current shorting into the water. So this is a safety item, not a cosmetic one. It's really important that you pay attention to that. So run us through the inboards and outboards, drives, all of that.
You can bounce the propeller on an inboard to check for the cutlass bearing. That's really important. So you get a little play in it, right? Okay, it might be time to replace that cutlass bearing.
Which we have an article of that on our website.
We do.
Just if you need to do that, it's there.
IO drives. You want to check all the rubber boots. You want to make sure that the rubber's in good condition. It's nice and pliable, right? When it's getting stiff, it's going to crack, and that's when you start having some serious problems. Also, for the outboards, your standard outboard maintenance. While you have the boat out of the water, go ahead, remove the lower units, get them greased, replace the impellers, do your lower unit maintenance right then and there.
So moving over to the engine room, fuels, systems, etc. You want to make sure you're changing your oils on your filters before the storage. You want to make sure to do that because you don't want any potential acids or moisture to sit and eat up all of the internals.
And that can do a lot of damage if it's just going to sit there. The next one that I always recommend is fuel stabilizers, because what we're going to fight is condensation in the fuel tank. But one of the biggest things that I notice just in general with all equipment, it's not just boats, if you're going to use a fuel stabilizer, put it in the tank, then run your motor until it's all the way through the system.
You also want to flush your cooling systems with fresh water, and you want to drain it where there's a risk of freezing. Belts and hoses, obviously, I feel like anyone that's done any kind of maintenance, you know to check that. Plumbing, draining pipes, tanks, pumps, any water left in the lines, you want to clear all of that out.
Batteries. Disconnect your batteries. If you have a battery tender that you want to run because the boat's being stored, put a battery tender on it.
And you want to check on them throughout the winter just to make sure that your batteries are good if you have them stored. Tell us about the bilge.
The bilge. always making sure that, number one, the bilge is fully pumped out. Moisture is your enemy a lot of times. So getting the bilge completely dry many times is very important for winter storage. And this is where you can get down in there with a shop vac.
Next is if you have an RO water maker system and you're not using the boat for months, you want to pickle your system. Otherwise, you're going to spend a lot of money in the future replacing those filters. And pickling the system, like that phrase, if you have not come across it, which I'd be surprised, you want to make sure that everything is sanitized. That's the most important piece, because you don't want any bacteria can still grow in that area. And then you go and you run the system again, and now you're introducing all of that to your water and your lines, and then you have a completely different problem. So you want to pickle your system to make sure that that does not happen.
You know, for the southern boating, you still need to go through and do some checks. You know, any type of raw water system is cleaned out real quick. So your boat might be staying in the water, but doesn't mean you shouldn't be running through these on an annual basis.
Well, there's I think a couple times that it's very clear that you need to run maintenance, right? One is hour requirements, which, you know, based off of whatever system you have, has a certain amount of hours. You need to do a different type of maintenance, but also seasonal changes, because if you've been using it consistently or not using it consistently, you need to do that at the season change, because there's going to be different requirements that your boat needs for that next season. So talking about topsides, coatings, and storage. When it comes to pressure washing, the first thing you need to know is that your pressure washer should have either a 25 or 15 degree angle on it. You don't want to do it at a 0 degree. And you want to make sure that you're not doing it directly to any rubber components that might be there. You're probably going to mess those up if you do. You want to do the wash down from top to bottom, because you don't want dirty water going on what was just cleaned. So you always do top to bottom. I feel like that's common knowledge, but we're going to make sure that it's stated.
You need to start going around, looking at your gel coat, seeing if there's any areas that need to be repaired, what type of repair it might take.
Yeah, sometimes it's as simple as a clean, a polish, a seal.
Other times it could be a lot more labor intensive,
Exactly.
right? And there's a lot of different products out there that can help you with this. So all grip, all care, but also, you know, one of the main things, especially up north, covering your boat. There can be a lot of mistakes with covering your boat.
Yeah.
Covering your boat, you want to make sure that, number one, it has some ventilation under there. Even again, because it's cold, things can happen. Mildew can happen in the cold.
Well, not just that, but there could be micro blistering. There can be points where, you know, if there's condensation and it gets stuck to it, and when you pull it off, now you have other issues.
Know the professional that you hire. If you're going to hire a professional, and take a look at his work, make sure that there's not going to be any rubbing, basically, where that, you know, get a loose spot and it rubs against your boat nonstop in the wind from the winter. Check on it thoroughly, right? Because that's something that you can fix in the middle of the winter too.
Yeah. For the interiors, you want to make sure that you're taking out all of your personal gear. You want to make sure mildew is something that you want to protect against. It's the easiest thing to protect against, and it would cost you a lot of money to fix down the line if you don't protect against it. So you want to make sure that you have some way of having airflow moving through there. That would be different per vessel.
Yeah, I can tell you up at the lake house, what we used to do is take all soft goods out of the boat. Store them inside the cabin, store them inside the barn where the climate's controlled, put some damp rid in there to control the moisture situation, start sucking it out. Or, what's our favorite product right now for something like this? An Electro C dehumidifier.
Yes, it is. And if you're trailering your boat, then you want to make sure everything on your trailer is good too. You want to make sure everything that needs to be greased is greased. You want to make sure your tire pressure is good, that the health of the tires is good, because you don't want something happening while you're trailering your boat to the trailer and that causes damage to the boat itself. So you want to make sure all of that is squared away before you even get the boat on the trailer.
One of the things that we used to do up north as well is we used to put the trailer on jacks too, so you don't get any flat spots in your trailer tires.
Now, I know when people look at this episode, they're going to say, yeah, but Labor Day is like so far away. Why are you bringing it up? Well, because the thing is, some of these things require parts that you might want to order earlier rather than later. Yeah. So if you can start doing some quick checks on little things here and there, you might as well get that done now so you can order the parts so that when that maintenance moment comes, you have everything you need and you can put your boat away safely and comfortably. Or
that's a great point.
You can go into the winter and actually continue to enjoy your vessel. If you're in the South.
Now is the time to start scheduling some of those services that you put off.
Exactly.
Because you don't want to call the guy and he goes, I'm booked, dude. Sorry.
Because, you know, there's going to be a little push during that time where people are going to be trying to do the exact same thing.
Everybody's going to be doing it all at the same time. You might as well schedule ahead, get the guy that you want, and feel good about it, because then you can be rest assured that,
Yeah.
hey, I don't have a problem. I don't have to put this off again. Put in the comments what you think, what you like to do. Everybody can learn from this. It's very important as a boating community that we learn from each other and help each other. Until next time, I'm James Anderson.
I'm Ian Sneed.
We'll see you next week.